I'm Ariana Grande.
Hi, I'm Cynthia Erivo.
And you're listening to the Broadway Podcast Network.
Visit bpn.fm to discover more.
There's a cat over here. There's a cat over there. And the wrong one died. And the wrong one died.
Welcome to The Wrong Cat Died, the podcast breakdown of the catastrophe. I'm your host, Mike Abrams, and today we have another amazing guest. She was Rumpleteazer on the U.S. National Tour 4 of Cats. So welcome, Nancy Melius, and thank you for joining me.
Thank you, Mike. It's nice to be here.
Excited to have you. I love the Rumpleteazer character. I know when I first saw Cats in 2016, I could not get that song stuck out of my head for like weeks. It's the one thing I really remember. It's always fun to talk to people who performed that amazing, really kind of like solo duo track, because it's just you two on stage there versus most of the time it's cats everywhere.
That's true. It's true. Whenever I meet people that have done Cats before and they ask what character you played, of course, that's the first question. They always know I played Rumpleteazer because I'm little. I'm 4'10", 95 pounds. I fit the mold.
Nice. Well, let's start with the history of your history with the show, because I usually, as I talk to like the people who've done the most recent tour, they all grew up with this 1998 movie, you know, the one that was the pro shot. You are starting tour right before that movie comes out. So what was your introduction to Cats? It's obviously been out for a little bit, but did you get a chance to see it before you auditioned for it?
I did see it. I saw it in New York City. I grew up in Long Island, New York, so not far from where Cats was playing. And the studio I studied at was right next door to the Winter Garden.
Oh,
literally across the street. So we could see the Winter Garden from the studio. And so I was there from the time I was 16. Cats hadn't started yet. But I knew other cast members that were studying in my studio.
Mm-hmm.
So it was a lot. There was so much buzz around the show at that time because it had really just opened, right? So it was very exciting and it was new. And so it was magical and every dancer wanted to do that show, right?
Yeah.
And so I saw the show and I knew I wanted to play Rumpleteazer.
Immediately,
yes. That was my role. I was the right type. There was some acrobatics in it. I also did gymnastics. So that was the role. But you want to know how I got the role?
Well, yeah. So let me ask you some follow-up questions on that. So you're dancing in a studio next to the Winter Garden with people in the theater, like in the company. Does it, at that time, was it like, I kind of think through, like, as not someone who's not a dancer, but, you know, people like to play the current songs if you're a musician on this. Were you all like, I got to learn these dance numbers? Like your studio is trying to immediately pick up these Cats dance numbers because it was this like new, interesting, trendy thing? Or is it you're doing a chorus line and all the other stuff? I'm sure that's, you know, a little, you know, that everyone does in dance studios.
My teacher, Phil Black, no, he was teaching what he teaches because there were a lot of shows, obviously, on Broadway.
Okay.
And we had a lot of Broadway dancers from various shows. And he was very serious about the technique that he was teaching, but in preparing us to be on Broadway. So it was pretty tough, but a master at what he did. But he was very well aware of what was required. And I would say, well, actually, what's a fun fact is that there's 3 Rumpleteazers that came from my dance studio.
Wow.
So the first Rumpleteazer on Broadway, and then the second Rumpleteazer on Broadway, and then me on the tour.
Wow. Yeah. Okay. So it's a Rumpleteazer factory spitting out, spitting out dancers left and right. Okay. So then talk to me about how you got the audition and how you got the show for the tour. Like, what was that experience like?
Okay. So the show came out and like I said, every dancer wanted to do that show because there are great Broadway shows, but as a dancer, you don't really get to dance full out a lot of times, you know, unless it's a show like West Side Story or something like that. So that was why that show was so prized and coveted for dancers. And you got to dance for pretty much 3 hours.
Yeah. Nonstop.
So I knew I wanted that role. They had open auditions. I was non-union.
Mhm.
So I went to, I forget the name of the theater, but it was a theater audition on the east side of Broadway.
Okay.
And and there's about 300 or 400 people
Wow.
there. I remember sitting in an alley, waiting. You don't know if they're going to see you because,
Yeah.
I didn't know if they were going to see me because I was non-union, but you wait and see. And if they're not tired by the time they got there, and then they'll bring you into the theater. So I did what everyone else had done. They try to reduce down the number of people by having you first say your name. I think you said your age at that time.
Yeah.
And, where you were from. Then you did a double pirouette to the right, double pirouette to the left. And then they'd go on to the next person. Then they'd say who they wanted to stay. Then they would teach you the first combination. Yeah. And then start to cut down from there. So I did make it through getting on stage to be seen, even though there were so many people. But I did that 3 years in a row. So I did not get known until the third audition.
So, okay. So that's very smart. It's like I know a couple of places now do these like virtual interview where it's like they're going to screen with a couple questions. They did that with just 2 pirouettes. Just, can you do that?
Yeah.
If you can't do that, bye. Then it's we're going to teach you the number, and that's okay, we're going to hopefully get you on stage. And then you did this for 3 straight years or 3 straight times? Was it each year?
3 straight times.
3 straight times. Okay.
But in once a year.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. And then third time you get the call and you are ready to be Rumpleteazer.
Exactly. So yeah, the first 2 times, of course, I got pretty far, which was nice. And I did teach myself. Well, I didn't teach myself to sing, but I took singing lessons, which, if you're kind of a dancer first, singing is not your next love. It is, but I can hold a tune. So, but I knew it would help me get a job. So I learned that because a lot of times dancers at that time, I don't know how they are now, would bring in, they didn't have sheet music. They would sing Happy Birthday or something like that because they were petrified of actually singing. So I thought, well, I'll get a heads up by being able to dance and sing and actually have sheet music, 16 bars,
Yeah. It's funny to hear you say that because as someone who can't do either, I'm not a singer or a dancer, but I've talked to so many people over the years, and had a conversation recently with somebody, and they're like, yes, I'm a singer, and then I'm a mover, not a dancer. I'm just, I can move. And so there's kind of the reverse of that, where you're a dancer who can hold a tune and can sing enough, right? Like even though it's not the expertise is dancing, but you have to have that ability. And at that time, I know over various productions, Rumpleteazer didn't always sing that particular song. Sometimes Mungojerrie sang the whole thing, and other times Mungojerrie and Rumpleteazer both sang.
Correct. Yes. So the first Broadway, when the Broadway production started, they did not sing it. Yeah.
Okay.
And then my tour did. So we actually, my Mungo and I went in to, we were actually brought in a few days before the rest of the cast because I was very lucky to start out with a brand new cast.
Right.
So I didn't have to fit in to an ongoing show, which was, my first show. I'm 23 years old. I got my dream job, and they called us both in. It's just the 2 of us. And they said, you have so much material to learn. We had to come in earlier. So we learned a little bit of our number. And he was the first one. Yeah.
So I want to ask you a little bit about this. We're going to jump ahead because I want to come back to that, like learning the show as a new cast. But one thing I'm fascinated by with the show in general is that there's so much always on stage happening. There's so much going on. And Mungojerrie and Rumpleteazer is one of the few times where the spotlight is really just on you two. And so is that something that they kind of, as they're teaching in the show, allude to do they mention that, hey, most of the time it's going to be 20 different cats on stage, but here in this one number, all eyes are going to be on just you two? Or is it something where it's just another number in the song or in the show and you're going to kind of keep going?
I'm not really sure of the question, but the number, and like all the cats, that have their own numbers of it, they have their own characters that are important to the show. Our number was a big deal.
Yeah.
It was a big, So
we knew
that there was going to be a lot of attention on us.
Yeah. I mean, even with the other cats that have their numbers, there's a lot going on with the other cats on stage during their numbers. So even if you are watching Tugger, there's, the kittens dancing with them, and there's other stuff happening that a lot of the audience, especially the super fans, are watching. How does this character react to Tugger? Whereas it's just you two during your number. There's no other distractions.
I never really thought of it that way, but you're absolutely correct that it was just the two of us sneaking onto the stage.
Yeah.
Which is, that's how it starts out, right? There's a big bang and, cause some more mischief.
Yeah. Okay. Let's go back to now your cast. You're in a new cast. You obviously get to do a little with your Mungojerrie first, but now you're going to all come together and learn the show. I'm fascinated by what you remember that you were told, because there's so much backstory and nuance to the show, but at the same time, there's all this dance numbers, all this singing, all this, blocking that you have to be ready for. How much character development do you actually get when you're doing that ahead of tour?
The major thing I remember was when we all met, and I believe it was the first day of the rehearsals at 890 Studios, Broadway. We were told to lie on the ground, all of us as cats, right? And it probably was 10 minutes, a while. And they walk us through what was going on. The sun is coming through the window, and cats sleep 80% of their lives. Just stretch and just feel like a cat, right? So they wanted people just to experience being a cat, and then now crawl around on the ground and explore. And so they walked us through this for a while, let us improv. And then at the end of it, we all had to come together into one big clump into the middle of the studio on top of each other and just hang out. It was,
roll around together. Yeah.
I remember that the most about the rehearsals. I just met all these people, right? And we're just lying on top of each other.
Yeah. They're almost trying to break the human out of your movements, so that way you can, embody the cat for 8 times a week. It's like you're almost a cat more than you're a human during the time on tour.
Correct. Yeah. Yeah. So that was extremely important during that time, that, the cat movements, and to really incorporate that into your body and know what that feels like.
Yeah. What do you remember about the plot that they told you and the backstories for Mungojerrie and Rumpleteazer?
I would say that there was a lot of direction, or at least that I don't remember. I was 23, right?
Yeah.
So, I remember a lot of choreography, and I do remember, each movement having a meaning, whether you're stretching up, looking at the moon, or, whatever you're feeling, so that when you're dancing, everything has something behind it. So that was a key element. So maybe not necessarily to do with your character. Just to do with the movement itself. Character development came on your own more so, although they did tell us we were mischievous, and the song kind of tells you what you are, right?
Yeah.
Or who we are. That's what we're saying. This is who we are, right? This is what we do. We create havoc in the house and steal things, and, and then we try to one up each other, right? So it was me, it was him. Yeah. It depends, if we want the blame or if we want to, if we want the credit.
Yeah.
So that was what it was. So we were kittens, right? Mungojerrie and Rumpleteazer are kittens, and they're just having fun, and they don't really have much of a conscience. They're just
Do you think that they're bad, or they're just kind of like, I always like equated them to a rich family's, like a rich dad where the kids are kind of like fake mischievous, and they're mischievous knowing that they're probably not going to get in a lot of trouble, or are they actually bad and part of like McCavity's crime gang?
I don't know if they're bad. No, I don't think that they're McCavity's side gig there.
Okay.
I think they're just, I think they grew up together.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if they were brother and sister, or if they came from the same litter, or just the same tribe, and they just had fun together, and then they just kept, getting away with one thing or the other, or the owners got them and put them together.
Yeah.
And then they started, exploring, and then it was fun, But I don't know if they're bad, but they do get into trouble, and they do like to create a little mischief because they think it's fun.
Yeah. They cause a nuisance. It's not like they're horrible, or like the, McCavity's seems like bad.
Yes.
Did you ever talk with your Mungojerrie about that relationship? Like, did you decide that you're brother and sister, or that you're potentially together, or like how much of those conversations happen when you're on tour? And I know this was a while ago, but thinking back, did you have deep conversations about Rumpleteazer is maybe this relationship with Jenny Anydots and this relationship with Mungojerrie?
We did not, but I listening to your podcast, I heard you ask those questions, and I thought, that's very interesting to see who was this person, who was Jenny Anydots to us. But I didn't really get that deep into it. I guess it was, but I will say that Mungojerrie and Rumpleteazer, as my partner, we didn't talk about, at least that I don't remember, who we were, but I knew we were partners in crime, so to say. But we had a connection that when we met, so we had a natural friendship.
Yeah.
That did come out on stage.
Yeah.
And actually, like when we met, we thought we had known each other, for a long time. And we were almost silly, just even off when we weren't, rehearsing, we were just like little kids together. So we already had that natural natural And then when people met us, when the rest of the cast came in, they thought we knew each other for years.
Yeah.
And we met each other, 2 days or a few days before.
Yeah.
So that was, that made our number special, I think, because we had that chemistry that way.
Yeah. Yeah. I've thought a lot about this as I've talked to more of your tour and tour 2 and 3, is that I'm wondering how much of this relationship backstory stems from the internet and the social media discourse and all of the fandom that came from it, that can have those conversations that probably aren't as relevant, when it's pre-internet. There's just less people. Like, if you all aren't thinking about it, nobody at the stage door is probably coming or sending you messages on a social media platform like now. That's what's happening, is there's these like conversations because, these two actors did this look on stage. Are they together? Are they this? Are they that? And all of that, I think, probably maybe happened as conversations, but there wasn't an outlet for it. There wasn't 100 and almost 50 episodes of a podcast discussing this. There wasn't Tumblr pages of people making assumptions. There wasn't a Wikipedia page of fandom with every potential combination of mother, daughter, brother, sister, together relationships that exists today. And it's fascinating to me to hear that your like group doesn't even like, it's like, yeah, we kind of like talked a little bit about this, but then you went out and danced and performed an incredible number and did not, I'm sure none of you thought about that Grisabelle was a Jellicle choice and even considered that is there another option? And that to me is just so crazy about current modern, like everyone has an opinion, everyone has the ability to assess stuff and then also share it. That probably just wasn't happening at that same level years ago.
Yeah, that's true. That's very true. Yeah. I mean, we did know that someone was going to go to cat heaven.
Yeah.
And Like that's the whole show, right?
Yeah. But you probably didn't debate it. You didn't debate, should it be her? It's
no,
just...
because we didn't choose. And,
Yep.
and remember, I was a kitten. So I didn't really care about the adult conversation going on there.
You're not even thinking about it. It's not your time.
No, it's not my time.
Yeah.
Let them figure it out. But all I knew is that, Grisabella was beautiful at one time.
Yeah.
I didn't know why. I didn't know what she did. And I knew that people shunned her.
Yep.
So that would be what a kid would think, right?
Yep. And that's kind of all you need to know, right? When you're playing your character, you don't need to go any deeper because you're just supposed to be mischievous and, causing problems and trouble versus having any say in the Jellicle choice.
Right. What would a kitten or a child comprehend?
Yeah.
At that time. So that's how I looked at my character. That would be, that was my point of view.
We're going to take a quick break and then we'll be back for more of The Wrong Cat Died.
I want to ask a little bit about when you had a different Mungojerrie.
Mm-hmm.
How hard is that? If someone swings in or you change over the years, how hard is it to adjust in something that is such an intimate number that you do 8 times a week with the same person to have that kind of flip for somebody new for one show or a couple shows in a row? Like, how do you as a performer make those tweaks to be able to handle something like that where it almost breaks your norm and your routine?
Breaking norm and routine is not a bad thing.
Totally.
When you do 8 shows a week, right? And that's I remember the director saying early on that you're going to be doing 8 shows a week and that everything might become tedious after a while. And you're going to look for something to go wrong or something, because you have to kind of find something new for yourself, even if the audience doesn't see it, to keep things going, right?
Yeah.
And just as sometimes you can say, it could be as small as, pretend you had a cocktail before you went out on stage, So, something as small as that can change how you perform.
Yeah.
But the audience wouldn't see that. It just gives it a little element of something new, right?
Yeah.
And so another Mungo would be that something new. Mm-hmm. And of course, everyone that was playing the show, and of course the swings were excellent and amazing performers. And so it was easy to transition with that. Of course, you have a slightly different connection, but the number still comes across and you're still working together and creating mischief together. Of course, the cartwheels are king of the horse. So that's the one thing that you have to practice. Before you although I will say there's a fun moment, because I know you like fun moments too. With my original Mungo, it was a particular, I don't know, we were being silly before we even got on stage, right? So we get on stage and it was a different lightness that night for some reason. And we're building up the number. The number builds up and builds up and builds up. And we were having so much fun that when we get to the cartwheels, we're doing the cartwheels and we fall out of the cartwheels halfway through because we're giggling and we're laughing. And it was funny. And then we run to the front and it was actually just the way it was supposed to be, because it was just lighthearted and fun, but it was.
Didn't make it all the way across the stage.
We did. Yeah, I think we did 3 cartwheels or something.
Yeah. Enough that the audience gets their view of it.
Yeah, and then it was like 2 kittens having fun, so we just go.
Which is the point, right? That's the number. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a great segue into, I love hearing fun stories. What are the other memorable tour stories that you vividly will never forget?
No pun intended. My memory's not serving me now.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of that. If I think of something, I'll bring it up. How about that?
Okay.
It's me right now.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember the cat, just in general. I was so lucky to be in the cast I was, besides starting out with them. But And I know, and believe it or not, this doesn't happen all the time from what I've heard. We connected, the whole cast, and we are still friends.
Mm-hmm.
And we adore each other, and there's just a magical connection between us. And I think that transcended onto the stage, which is what made our production quite special.
Yeah.
Well, of course, all the cast were special, but I really felt that ours was special because we just had a bond that you can't make up. And yeah, we still see each other a lot. We have reunions, and so that was my introduction to Broadway. It was this type of cast. And then I was lucky enough to even go on to another show, Gypsy, and had the same experience. So, but I have heard that some casts, they do their show, but they don't connect.
Mm-hmm.
And we just did. So
yeah, as I've talked to more and more people, not just in the cats world, in the Broadway world, it seems like there is certain runs of shows or tours where it's work, and there are others where it's like really, really a family and fun. Yeah. And I don't know if it's just related to the people you're with or certain conditions, or maybe the way the tour's put on or something else that goes into it. I have noticed that it seems like a higher, like disproportionately high number of cats tours have had that family feel. And I'm wondering if it's because, as you said earlier, 10 minutes into audition or into your rehearsals, you are lying on top of each other. And it's almost kind of like, I think the way the show is built and just the way you have to perform together on stage, the ball is so intimate. You kind of have to, it's going to be a lot harder to treat that as just a job because you are a lot closer. Whereas other shows, you're working together, but you're not fully lifting and dancing on top of each other nearly as much. Mm-hmm. And so I've always wondered that if it is because of the way the show's composed, that it does seem to skew higher, or if it's just great casting where you're casting a really good caliber group of people who form bonds and are able to connect in a different way with each other in the audience.
I would say that that's true. That it's a combination. But I could say that. But then in Gypsy, it's not the same.
Yeah.
It's really a few-person cast. That where Cats is an ensemble.
Yeah.
So that's an interesting thing to look at. I do remember two funny.
Let's hear them.
So, one is we had a bus fire.
A bus fire?
Yeah, in Nashville. So I think it was in Nashville. We did fly there, and then we all got onto different buses, and one bus had my luggage on it. Let's tell it from my perspective. And I was on another bus. And so there was some cast and crew on that particular bus. And then we're all driving to the hotel, and then one of the buses caught fire.
Wow.
And luckily everyone got out.
Yeah.
But it was on the news. It was on the local news. And so I lost all my clothes, which we were only allowed to bring 2 suitcases, which makes sense, throughout the entire tour. Mm-hmm. And everything was gone.
An entire bus, cargo, essentially gone. Was it your clothes? Did they lose any costumes or anything too that made it kind of a scramble? No costumes. Okay.
No, this was all personal things. The musicians lost some stuff. They had their things on there. But so there was a fire, and it made it into the news, and you could probably find it online.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what was the other one? I forgot that one.
Okay. Well, if you remember, we'll come back to it.
Oh. It was the theater. I think it was in Pennsylvania, because it wasn't that far from New York. And I remember that being important because a lot of times we weren't that close to New York, where people that we knew could come see the show easily.
Yeah.
So, but it ended up being the theater was highly patroned by subscribers. So there were a lot of older patrons.
Yeah.
That was the show. So we didn't get good reviews there because sometimes just, it's not the show. It's not us. It's just, it's not their thing,
Yes.
Well, so they weren't crazy about the show in general. And, so we knew that, right? We had that in our mind. We were only there for a few days, but that was in our mind. So we're dancing one day. We're doing the show, and almost at the end of the first act, we see people getting up and walking out of the theater.
Yeah.
And we thought, do they really know like it's that much that they're getting up in the first act? So we're all still dancing, and we'll kind of have our eye looking at the audience as we're doing the show, trying to figure out what's going on, until one of the cast managers said, but there's that moment where we just sit down, and he says, stay, just stay, don't move. So we stay. And then we find out there was a fire outside in the lobby. There was 2 fires at Cast. Or a fire alarm went off or something. So they were getting up to leave.
That is funny. Crazy. Yeah. So I'm originally from Indiana. I do live in New York now, but I have been with my mom's a subscriber to the Broadway tour and goes to all the shows, and she loves this stuff. But I have been with her too, and I'm not going to say which Jukebox Rocks musical it was, but I went to one that did not do as well as a show, and I watched probably, I want to say 30 or 40 people, all above the age of 60 or 70, get up within 10 minutes and leave. And just like, this isn't a show for me. And I was fascinated by it because I liked the band this was about, and I was enjoying the show. But I also was like, I can kind of understand that. And they have season tickets for all the shows, and they just go. And but it is an interesting one because Cats is polarizing. Cats either has people that love it or hate it, and kind of no middle. And I could see that being a subscriber one. But it's crazy to hear that you're all thinking, oh man, this wasn't for this was just the bad audience. It's like, no, there's a fire outside. We probably should all be getting off stage.
Yeah, it's funny. Those are 2 funny memories.
Those are always fun. It's such an interesting thing to hear because it's live theater, so much happening, and it's just like, what do you remember and sticks in your brain from years later? But let's do some fun questions, my rapid fire questions here to kind of bring us home. So if you could go on for one night for any cat, forget age, body type, dancing, singing, male, female, if you could just do one performance for one night as one cat, who would you want to go on as?
I would love to be the white cat, but I don't have that extension. But let's pretend I do. So
I asked this question as someone who can do none of these. So I always like to know just what would be the one. So that's, the white cat would be an incredible one to do one time.
Yeah, and I want to be able to do this. Yeah.
Who are your favorite and least favorite cat characters from the show? So remove the people. Which cat bugs you and which one do you love?
Well, McCavity, of course, is the one that no one really likes.
Yeah.
Well, some people do. Some of the women that are, the sexy women, they can't help themselves. But the one I like the most, I like Gus.
All right.
He's sweet. Good. He's sweet. He's like an old grandfather,
This is hopefully a good sign for my last question.
Yeah, but I did like Ballerina too.
Yeah.
So she was fun. And I did kind of admire her as as like a young girl kitten, that I could grow into being someone Ballerina.
Yeah,
sure.
Definitely. What's your favorite song from the show?
Besides Mungojerrie and Rumpleteazer, I would say, of course, Memories is the crowd pleaser. And it is a beautiful song.
Mm-hmm.
So it is my favorite song. I listened to the lyrics again before the podcast.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's such a powerful song. So it is great. When I first started doing this, my answer to this question was Mungojerrie and Rumpleteazer for ages. Wow. It's just so fun, and it was stuck in my head again for weeks. Okay, I always ask one fun question. I had a different one written, but based on your stories, I feel like I have to ask this one now. Which cat do you think would be the best fireman? Because you
Fireman?
barely, because your show had fire issues left and right. If we were going to have to hire one of the cats character wise to be in charge here of putting out all these fires that your tour was having, who would be the best at it?
Mungojerrie, I think.
Yeah, I think Mungojerrie was. I was thinking.
And he was handsome too. He had a handsome.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So he fits the stereotype for fireman. Okay.
Right.
All right. $1 million question. I've argued at length that I don't think Grizabella should be the right Jellicle choice. So I want to hear you, Nancy, if you are putting on your old Deuteronomy hat and you're going to get to pick the cat to go the Heaviside Layer, who are you picking and why?
Okay. So I actually did some research on this to bring back my own memories on this. So if I were old Deuteronomy, I would be looking at Gus or Grizabella, right? Mm-hmm. And it would be a toss-up. Gus is weak and, but he loves to tell his stories, and could he last another year? And, he tells the same old story all the time. We go around and sit around and listen to him, right? So he's loved, and Grizabella's had a hard time. She's maybe, we don't know why she's where she is. She said, and old Deuteronomy probably does. As a kitten, I don't know. I'm sure the old cats know why she was once the glamour cat and now she's worn and tattered. And it could have been anything from circumstances to her own doing. Did she make bad choices? Why was she the glamour cat? What type of glamour cat? Was she an actress? Was she, so did she lose her beauty and then couldn't handle it? I mean, there's so many ways to look at that you don't know why she is where she is. So that all I know is that that the adult cats don't want to have anything to do with her. Mm-hmm. Right. So I just follow along.
Yeah.
And, but so she's made some bad choices or was given bad circumstances that put her where she is. And I think that she's probably the best choice because she can come back in a new life, because that's what the song says, right? Mm-hmm. And she's going to come back and have a new Jellicle life. And she needs a new one. Gus, yes, he needs a new body, right? So he's going to come back, but he could probably last another year. And I would guess that he would be the next year, the cat chosen for the next year.
Yeah. Okay. So you had it as a 2-person race, and you're picking Grizz over because the need is there more. So here's my question for all the Grizabella choices is, when old Deuteronomy picks, does he have the same criteria every year, or is he kind of making this up on the fly each year based on what the cats need? Because I've always thought about, if Grizabella is the choice, and there's the fairness of like, that's a redemption story, and I totally get her argument. Is there another cat that was exiled that's coming back next year, or is it a different decision criteria next year for the Jellicle choice?
I think it would be a different criteria. I think old Deuteronomy is very wise and all-knowing and watching over everyone and forgiving. And I think he would decide what would be best for, there's another cat something could happen to another cat, not just age. Yeah. Right. That might need a new life, right? We all have 9. So, I don't know which one Grizabella is on.
For sure.
Right. So, but I would say that he has different criteria every year.
Okay. So here's my question, my kind of fun version of this. I know as a kitten, Rumpleteazer's not making an argument to being the Jellicle choice. What would your argument be if you wanted to say, hey, consider me this year? Pretend Grizabella doesn't come back and Gus has got at least a couple more years in him. And you're like, why not us? Or even both you and Mungojerrie. What would your argument be for why you two should go?
So we should go. We should be chosen to come back in a new life. So maybe we could be, I don't know, what would be our argument? Well, sure, we're having too much fun in this life. So, unless I wanted to come back in sexy bomb ballerina, but that would be later on down the line. So that would be kind of a selfish reason, and it wouldn't really be a good argument that old Deuteronomy would buy. That I want to come back as the sexy cat. Right?
Yeah. Selfish, very selfish reason. I'm ready for this version. I think the argument I could make for you all, and it would be hard because it would be McCavity would probably fit this argument too and more, is if you're doing what's best for the tribe and not necessarily what's best for that individual of like the Heaviside Layer is a redemption story and the one we get to see. But if it's we're just going to do what's best for the Jellicles, then probably getting rid of your villains and your mischievous, ones that are causing more problems than they're helping might be a way to kind of help the tribe as a whole. But I would say you probably choose McCavity before you choose Mungojerrie and Rumpleteazer, who are, I would say, mischievous more than bad. And so, but that would be my argument of let's reward us as a way of like, we're so tired of these two troublemakers. We're going to get them out of the way, and maybe they'll come back as, more angelical cats.
I think they tolerate us, the rest of the tribe, and old Deuteronomy would certainly give us time to mature.
Yeah.
So we'd have a little bit of time to mature and be guided by the rest of them. So there's hope for us. But yeah, we would give childlike excuses as why we should be chosen.
Yeah.
Probably because we don't know where we're going, but yeah, we could come back as what we want to come back as. But also it looks like an awful lot of fun going up on the big tire, right?
Yeah.
So as a kitten, I want to go up on that tire. I don't know where it's going or anything like that, but why can't I go up there? It looks like a fun ride, right?
Yeah. I loved one thing you said earlier about this kind of conversation with Grisabella that is so interesting is you do embody your character so much that you're like, as a kitten, I didn't even know what she did that was bad. Like, I didn't even think about it. Like the adults did that for us. And so it is such you embody your character there versus kind of saying, all right, let me assess this whole story from start to finish. It's like, no, you got to stay in your Rumpleteazer mindset.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
I love it.
She's not that deep. No.
Yeah.
Smart. She's smart though. And
yeah.
She's cunning and witty, and she tries to outsmart Mungo.
Love it. Well, this has been so fun. Thank you for taking a trip down memory lane. I didn't realize I was going to have you have to reminisce all these fires in your life that you're dealing with, but it's been fun to hear about your experience and how you've thought about the show as Rumpleteazer.
Thank you, Mike. This was a lot of fun. It was
Amazing.
Great to go down memory lane. So I appreciate it.
Loved having you. So thank you. And thanks everyone else for listening to this episode of The Wrong Cat Died, the podcast breakdown of the catastrophe. To follow along, you can subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or anywhere else to listen to podcasts. Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and Threads at The Wrong Cat Died, or check out our website, thewrongcatdied.com.